Hello, and welcome to the PatricksGreenTea podcast Season 3 finale. I find it funny how different the beginning of 2020 was from the end on this show. We started in Madrid where I frequented a weed club, which only existed because of a legal loophole, and then we ended up in a town where I filmed my thesis documentary about a Grateful Dead cover band. To be honest, even though there was all that COVID shit to worry about, the highlights of 2020 were incredible and very unexpected for me. To help directly support this podcast and give feedback in a way that will be visible to both me and your fellow greenies, write a review for the show on iTunes or whatever platform you use to listen to the show. In the case of iTunes, you don't even need an iPhone to leave a review. You can just download the iTunes app on PC and do it there. YouTube comments work as well. The show's subreddit and Discord are not very lively, but I will see anything you post on there if you want to leave feedback or just say hi. Don't forget that you can directly contact me via PatricksGreenTea@gmail.com. If you enjoy the Patrick's Green Tea podcast, share it with your friends who you think might like it. I know that there are many potential listeners out there who would love the content, but just have never been told about it. Just putting the show out there would be immensely helpful in growing this community. Another way to help the podcast would be by searching it on Patreon and becoming a patron. If you donate $5 a month or more, you get exclusive access to a whole new series called the Drunk Patrick Chronicles, plus some bonus content from the Patrick's Green Tea podcast. We finally had some guests this past year. Osmond and Joey were fantastic to talk to. Joey Spills and I have stayed in touch and will hopefully do some more stuff together soon. I also sat down with Dan Murray from the band Ship of Fools to record an episode. More guests are in the works, so stay tuned. The few experiences I've had as a guest on other shows were really great, and I'd love to do more. Between this season and the next, more collaborations will definitely be a priority of mine. I wanted to share a 2-minute episode of this show that I recorded on November 7th, 2019, but never released. I forgot to include it in the 2019 recap, so here it is. So, this is Patrick's Green Tea. It's going to be a short episode, just a few notes. 9:33 p.m., November 7th, 2019. I remembered something, or I learned, I guess, something about myself, and it was that, sorry, I have a burp, I don't want to speak before the burp. Alright, whatever. It was that I see my life in epochs that are defined by the lengths of time that certain relationships lasted. So I haven't seen myself as just me. I haven't been present in a long time. It probably hasn't been as long a time as I think it has, because I feel like I've been super present in Colorado, and that was a beautiful experience and beautiful way of living. But I don't know. That's basically it. I don't feel a whole episode in me. I just wanted to record some notes. I went back in time to a lot of old songs I haven't heard in a long time. Brought me back to high school. And maybe super present and not even think about my problems or relationships, friendships, or loving relationships. Just anything. Just me by myself experiencing my life. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. Ta-ta. The Grateful Pic sadly ended its run on Instagram. That page really was something else, and by the end he was posting some really bizarre 80s music clips and a pretty random assortment of interesting stuff. The page no longer exists, and sadly I never got his contact information. We were talking about doing some sort of collaboration, but that might not happen now that he disappeared off the map. I really enjoyed his Dead & Company mixtapes, and you could check out the 2018 season recap for a full review, but he released new ones right before closing the account, which were incredible. I'd say to DM the page for copies, but since that's no longer an option, you can always reach out to me and I'll send you the download links, which are still active. In the Patrick's Green Tea episode with Joey Spills, he mentions a psychedelic substance that can be extracted from a frog, but he and I both forgot what the substance was and what the frog was called. I didn't catch this at the time of releasing the episode, but I wanted to mention that the frog is the Colorado river toad, found in northern Mexico and the southwestern United States. The toxin in its skin contains 5-MeO-DMT and bufotenin, which is 5-HO-DMT. I've also been really into listening to Hamilton Morris talk about psychedelics and the history of drug laws. Definitely go check him out if you're interested in drug anthropology, chemistry, politics, or anything of the sort. Hamilton is a walking encyclopedia, and his show Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia is a spectacular exploration into these topics. I wanted to remind you guys about the playlist I released on Spotify of music I listened to while high. There's a lot of good stuff on there, and I'm going to release more playlists in the same vein soon. I'll make copies on YouTube as well so the playlists are more accessible. I tried searching for the Spotify playlist on a different account and had a really difficult time finding them, so you can always reach out to me for a link. I tried Twitch streaming this past summer, and it demanded a lot more time than I was willing to give. Twitch is still something I'm open to using in the future, but there are strict anti-drug rules that wouldn't mix well with this show. I'd be down for Q&As or other live chats while I'm sober, or whatever the site's rules allow, but I would definitely want to build more before doing them, so I wouldn't just be talking to myself. Since there's a big text-based element to this show, I'm planning on starting a blog with all the text I wrote and photos I took while I was high. This is going to be a pretty big undertaking, but I do want to increase the visibility on these things, since they seem to be pretty dead on the website, and they're up there, by the way. Plus, I'd be appealing to the people who enjoy looking at those sorts of things on a blog, rather than the fans of the audio content of this show who just peruse the site casually. Now for some statistics from the show, which continue to blow my mind. As of today, February 13th, the show has received 655 downloads, which is more than double the amount from the last season. I still haven't worked on advertising at all, but I want to start putting more effort into that this month. Again, spread the podcast around to your friends to help out the show. I'd really appreciate it. We reached several new countries since the end of Season 2. I'll rattle them off. The UK, Canada, South Africa, Spain, Norway, Australia, which was a big goal for me, Ireland, Barbados, Brazil, Hungary, Italy, Japan, South Korea, the Netherlands, and shout out to the Netherlands for their amazing drug laws, New Zealand, Slovenia, and Trinidad and Tobago, or Tobago. I don't know how to pronounce that. It still makes me proud that the show has reached all those parts of the world. Within the U.S., Virginia, California, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Texas were the biggest sources for listeners, so you guys get a special shout out as well. I never returned to New York in 2020, though I will probably move to either there or New Jersey. It would be nice to live in a legal state, and even New York might become one soon. The legality of weed is a big factor for me in deciding where I move to, so if New Jersey can get their shit together and legalize the substance properly, that might be the spot for me. If New York comes through by the time I start seriously looking for apartments, I'd be more than happy to live in that beautiful state, somewhere outside of the city but close enough to frequent it. I doubt they'll do that within the next year, though. Plus, I just learned that New Jersey didn't technically legalize marijuana, only cannabis, quote-unquote, which is somehow different and could lead to serious jail time if you don't understand the law. It's all super disappointing, but I could tolerate a decriminalized situation if I really had to. We've caught up to real time with this podcast. It would be unrealistic to maintain the same release schedule for 2020 if I start putting stuff out soon. Expect a slower output from me, probably an episode every other week instead of every week. This is subject to change if I find a good workflow, but for now we're keeping it to every other week. For last season's recap, I ended with the personal update, so I'll do the same here. I've started using dab pens instead of bud, and that has given me a lot of peace of mind. I've ended up smoking way late in the night when it wouldn't bother anyone in my house, so I haven't been recording many episodes to keep a low profile. As I've mentioned before on this show, I've been playing a lot of Minecraft recently, working on a world that I plan on releasing soon on the PatricksGreenTea website. Keep a lookout for that if you're interested in exploring what I've built so far and reading the little journals I've scattered around the place. Since I found a weed-using method that works for me, my relationship with the plant has improved a lot. The relationship I have with my girlfriend and weed has improved too, but mostly because I've been using it when she's asleep or, it barely has a presence on her radar. This is something I want to improve in the future since I don't think we've fully reconciled over it, and we are likely to move in with each other in the next year or two. The social aspect of weed is something that is different for everyone, but there are a lot of common experiences that we stoners share. Let me know what kind of problems you've had to overcome to enjoy weed. I can even share them on the show if you'd like. Thank you all for another great season. As I say on the posts on the Patrick's Green Tea subreddit, you guys keep the show alive. This pandemic definitely has overstayed its welcome, and it keeps taking people away indiscriminately, so stay safe, everybody. These vaccines give me a lot of hope for this year. There's lots of great weed news coming out too, so there's a lot to look forward to. Thanks again, and I'll see you in Season 4. Hello. Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can find me at Patrick's Green Tea on Patreon, Discord, Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, and Bandcamp, Patrick's Green Tea Podcast on Instagram, and Patrick Green Tea without an S on Twitter. The show is available wherever you get your podcasts. Supplemental materials like photos and text are available on our website, PatricksGreenTea.com. You can join our subreddit at r/PatricksGreenTea. You can make comments on YouTube and on the website, and you can contact me directly at patricksgreentea@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave a review of the show on your favorite podcasting platform. It really helps us out. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.